Yo, what is good, guys? I'm Relic. Welcome to Wave Ninja. Today I'm going to be going over tips on how to layer your sounds in a beat just to get it to all mesh together correctly and that nothing is clashing. And I see a lot of questions from beginners like, how do I know when I need to layer, and what sounds good together, and like all these different questions. So I'm just going to try to go over like my thought process when I'm doing it. So right now I only have a MIDI that I made the other day and some like basic drums. So yeah. Yeah, so this is like pretty good solid start, but I think it sounds a little bit too boring, and I think this is a really good opportunity to show you how to layer. This is what the MIDI looks like. It just looks like standard MIDI that you would find in like a MIDI kit or maybe something that you would make yourself. And as you can see, I have the root notes down here, which is just part of the chord that's up here. I just moved it down, and it looks like the melody's right here. And yeah, right now I chose a Alexa, what the fuck? I chose an Electra X patch, and it is an Av McCree Bart Simpson affair, because I know people are gonna ask. But yeah, it's just a very basic patch. It has a good amount of mid-range, and that's exactly what I want. But instead of just like throwing an EQ, because I do think it needs more highs and maybe a little bit more lows, instead of just throwing an EQ on it and boosting the highs, I would just recommend that if you feel like you need to boost a lot and you want certain characteristics out of it, then I would probably recommend that would be a really good time to layer. Layering is one of those things where it's kind of like making a ham sandwich. Like, you could just have a ham sandwich that's ham and bread and it would taste delicious, or you can add stuff on top of that like lettuce, cheese, butter, whatever the fuck you want, and maybe it'll taste even more delicious. But it also depends on the quality of the product. So if you're using shitty presets, it's just gonna turn out bad. So yeah, that was a weird analogy, I know. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to find another patch to add on top of this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag the MIDI over to a new preset, and I'm going to find another Electra X preset to layer on top of this. Oh, and I'm also going to move this up an octave, by the way. That's actually kind of a big issue I see with a lot of beginner producers, is they all put it within the same frequency spectrum, so they all start clashing with each other. And if you span it across like 2 or 3 octaves, but just use the same MIDI, it just sounds a lot cleaner if you EQ it correctly and level everything appropriately. So yeah, I'm just going to try to find a preset real quick to get this to work. So yeah, I feel like this would be a really perfect, what is it called? Just like a preset. I'm going to scoop out the lows just so it doesn't clash with what I already have, and I might turn it up a little bit. So instead of this, I have this. And maybe if you don't even like the melody on the main one, you can take this off and just have this do all the weight. But I actually think it sounds good stacked on top of each other. Sweet. Now that I have that, I'll maybe take the root notes and I'll add something a little bit lower. And what I really like to do for this one is add like a sine wave kind of style sound. So Expand is really good for this because they have really basic sounds, and they have one called Basic Sine Pad that I use almost all the time. And as you can hear, it has like a little bit of low mid-range, and when you hear it all together, instead of, it just gives it a little bit more balls in the low end. And then from here, it really just comes down to, making sure everything's leveled right and that you're actually using presets that you like and you're not settling for just okay presets. Because, yeah, it definitely does come down to sound selection, and that does not mean just drum sound selection. Like, you need overall just like a solid palette to choose from. And if you don't, then I would recommend that you search and maybe find some or make some of your own and kind of, take the time to learn, because it really is worth it. So yeah, let's just hear before and after real quick. So here, or, and then this is a pretty tame version of it. On top of that, you could, also process it all together. So I usually use multiband dynamics, which is just an OTT, preset with the mix down. just brings out a little bit more of the mid-range, and it kind of glues it all together when I put it on the group. And another thing I really like to do is add RC20, or like maybe compress it or something along the lines of that. But that's typically how I go about layering things. Realistically, you just want to layer it across the frequency spectrum and not have everything clashing with each other. You just want it to have it complement each other. You can layer things in the same frequency spectrum. You just have to make sure you're leveling things correctly and that you're using presets that are complementing each other and not getting in each other's way, because that just kind of like reduces the clarity in your track. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Appreciate you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.